Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. We've got Premier Gold. I got the companies mixed up, Matt. We got i-80 Gold, which was a spin-out from Premier Gold. Matt Golat was involved with Premier. You got my mind thinking about Premier, Matt. We got Matt Golat, who's one of the directors and executives at i-80 Gold, also was with Premier Gold and the success before that, Wolfton Resources. Matt, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Allan. I'm really excited to be here.
You know, getting those names mixed up is happens to me because I've been following you and Ewan for a lot of years. Wolfton was a sponsor, they got bought out. You spun out Premier Gold, it got bought out. You spun out the Nevada assets into i-80 Gold, and now it's in the growth phase. Only been trading for what, a couple of years now, Matt?
Yeah, since April of 2021 is when we spun out or closed that transaction. So it's only been 2.5 years, I guess.
Wow. And during those 2.5 years, I often say about i-80 Gold, if you want to see how impressive the company is, just go to the press releases section and look at the consistency of the headlines since you guys became a publicly traded company. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, in particular, well, all the assets have had some fantastic exploration success, but Ruby Hill, from a global mineralized district point of view, it's been quite impressive. I would say it's the most exciting exploration I've ever been part of, and I think you would probably say the same thing.
But that overshadows a pretty impressive project in Granite Creek. That looks like a world-class asset as well. So you've got two world-class assets there, Ruby Hill and Granite Creek.
That's very true. And even Cove, the average grade there, I think, is 10.9 grams per ton. So how many plus 1 million ounce deposits are over 10 grams per ton right now that haven't been developed? I think all three are special in their own right. Absolutely.
Right. And at Cove McCoy, you've got a project that you've drilled a lot of extra holes since the last resource, and a lot of those holes are above the average grade of your last resource. So it stands to reason that should grow as well in size and grade.
Fingers crossed. And it's wide open as well. So underneath the pit, under by the gap zone to the southeast is still wide open, and a little bit to the north. So we are trying to determine what the limits of the deposit are as part of this drill program as well. So it's quite exciting.
Seeing three projects being developed at one time is probably the only knock that the company has against it. It's a hell of a good problem to have, in that you've got three projects that are returning the drill results that put them into the category that they need development. They warrant development. They're just screaming to be developed.
Yeah, it's certainly an ambitious plan, and the only other company that we can think of that has done it in the past, building three projects at the same time, is Agnico Eagle. So the benefits of doing that, if you can get through the build and develop these assets, there's some pretty substantial return. Or you look at like an Alamos Gold, they spent several years developing Island Deeps, and now look at where they're trading. It's been successfully built, and they're creating cash flow. So we do think there is tremendous returns on the other side of this if we can get there, or when we get there.
Yeah, and when you've got a sentiment like it is towards mining stocks, pretty bad right now, you sort of get a lot of people questioning whether you can accomplish it or not. Whether that's warranted or not is up for debate. I don't think it is. You guys have done it before, and you got a hell of a team. But I remember Osisko. And I started covering that when it was under $1. And I remember it would go forward, it would come back. People would, well, are they going to have a big enough resource? Well, are they going to be able to move the town? Well, are they going to get the money to build the mine? All these things. And they just kept on their nose to the grindstone, kept pushing forward, and ultimately they turned into a fantastic success story. And I think i-80 Gold is on that path as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. We certainly take that view of you just got to keep going forward and pushing ahead. You know, I would say all these gray hairs on my face and my head are well earned, but we're getting it done. We've got the team hired to execute on the plan. We've got a potential or joint venture partner that is expected to come on this spring that has help finance part of the business. Granite Creek, we expect to be hitting a commercial run rate for production this year. So we're slowly transitioning from development to production on that asset. So I think as time keeps passing, we start relieving that pressure of financing execution, and we just have to keep doing what we're doing.
And you know, you brought up a good point there about your team, Matt. I often see when people are trying to get on a boat that it's a good boat to be on. And the quality of the people that you guys have put together on your team is quite impressive. They're all well-experienced mine builders, operators, and work for major mining companies in Nevada, and in an industry where people are a problem as well because of the past, challenges in the business. There's been a couple of where there just wasn't enough people, lost generations. And so when you have not a lot of people out there and a lot of great people want to come on board, that's a pretty good indicator to me on its own.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's what I find most interesting about the people that we brought on. So we talk about the senior level people and their experience and what they've done. What is most impressive to me is the people that they've brought on from their teams from the previous lives, and the boots on the ground people, excited, motivated, hardworking, good people that they brought on. And it really is a testament to their careers and their pedigree in the state. When we do site visits, that's sort of the main thing I like to focus on is having people meet the people actually doing the work on the ground, and it's quite impressive to see them go.
Okay, so the reason I invited you guys on today was another in this trend of great news back to back to back. It just never stops with you guys. And what I'm going to do is share a screen here, Matt.
Sure.
And because I saw some great stuff in this news release. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so the headline is i-80 Gold reports high-grade drill results from the FAD deposit at Ruby Hill. And you can see the headline grades there, 9 grams of gold, 92 grams of silver, 12.2% zinc, 1% lead over 14.6 meters. Good gold numbers, good zinc, lead, silver, everything's in there. And this is the FAD was an acquisition when you guys took over Paycore.
That's right. And I think the results that we put out today, accompanied with what Paycore's put out, has really demonstrated why we like the project. It's a high grade CRD system that has high grade gold in it as well, which is just very unusual to see in CRD systems. And it connects the ground between our Hilltop discovery, which is about 2 kilometers to the north, and FAD. So it's totally covered with alluvial cover, and it's wide open for drilling. And I really think there's going to be some significant discoveries along that trend for the CRD and skarn mineralization.
You must be reading my mind. That's why I wanted to bring the news release up here, because it's kind of like bookends. At one end of you've got the Ruby Hill discoveries of CRD, which also have the CRD minerals, lead, zinc, and silver, and an overprint of high-grade gold, which as you said, is very unusual, and to have those a couple kilometers from each other is quite impressive. I'm going to scroll down here, Matt, and just to help emphasize, you can read all the grades there and the comments, and this is a common occurrence with I-80. But it's that information you just mentioned there. So I'm going to make this a little smaller so it fits on one screen. Okay, so this all started at the Archimedes pit for I-80 Gold, which was a historical producer, had a pit wall failure. The company shut it down and went to greener pastures, I guess they thought. You guys then started drilling the Ruby Deeps area and made a Carlin discovery to the west of the pit wall. And then this Hilltop started coming into focus, and you made a great series of discoveries of CRDs with that high-grade gold component. Over here, you don't even have it on the map, but is the skarn, high-grade skarn, and all of these can all be accessed from the same underground workings. That in itself is quite amazing, actually, Matt. And I don't think I'm using that word loosely. To have 3 world-class deposits that you can access from one underground network is pretty impressive stuff.
It really is. Yeah, turn left to go to gold and turn right to go to base metal is basically how it's going to be set up. So we're very excited about the proximity of the ore to the infrastructure. I think what's even more interesting is the various types of mineralization you see on the property. So you have everything from oxide disseminated gold, you've got refractory gold underground, we've got high sulfidation gold, we've got skarn, we've got CRD, and we got CRD overprinted with the high grade gold. All of this indicating that there's some larger system at play here. And again, I think there is a real interesting possibility of us finding some other significant deposit on the camp.
Well, it stands to reason that you always have to ask yourself, well, what pumped all this mineralization to the surface?
Exactly.
And when you have them so tightly packed, that source should not be far away, and it has a lot of great potential to it as well.
Yep, that's very true, and it's brought some of the largest mining companies in the world their attention to the property, and this potential JV partner likes the base metal aspect of the mineralization and sees great potential here.
But even in where you have the CRDs, you have base metals, but it's also juiced up by gold, high grade.
Yeah, that's very true.
Grades in some places.
Yep, yeah, that's very true. There are zones that are certainly higher grade in precious metals, and some that are higher in zinc and lead. But it's quite interesting to see the overprinting.
So then you guys acquired FAD, which was the topic of this news release. And this is your first program of drilling results from your chance to drill since you acquired Paycore.
That's correct. So we added on to the Paycore program that they were drilling, and the purpose of the program was to basically test the old resource and try to find limits of it, which we haven't done yet, and drill it off in a fashion where we can put out our first polymetallic mineral resource out. So it'll have FAD, Blackjack, and Hilltop, and I would expect that sometime during Q2 of this year.
Excellent. Now you brought something else up there, which is the corridor between Hilltop and FAD. Mm-hmm. So you're looking at 2 or 3 kilometers between those, and you've got a network of faulting here, and the faulting is important for those juices with the metals to make their way up to the surface. And that network continues all the way to FAD, actually a little bit beyond it as well. But I don't know, I hope you can see those indications of the faulting. Then you've got this area that's covered by has alluvial cover, but that's a thin veneer. Below that is the same kind of rocks as what you found, what is where Hilltop and FAD have been found. So this whole corridor is wide open for exploration.
Yep, that's very true. You know, they say that the best place to find a new gold mine is next to an old one. And this camp, you know, you see all the stars there, those are old historic CRD mines. This district was probably the highest grade CRD district in the planet from 1866 to 1966, and then they stopped mining and stopped exploring. And so on that side of the fault, the west side of those faults, all these deposits came to surface, so they were easier to find, and the previous operators would just go in on zones and mine them. On the other side of the fault was, like you said, covered with alluvium, and so now that we have some modern geophysical techniques to understand what's below the alluvium cover, we've discovered several potential targets to drill in that entire Hilltop corridor. And you're right, even if you look at the shape of the Archimedes pit or Hilltop, they both kind of trend northwest, and they kind of follow these fault structures. So on the way down, there's a series of these northwest, southeast structures that we'll be testing between the, I think it's the Hawley and the Archimedes faults are the name of those two faults.
So lots of room to grow between Hilltop and FAD with the same kind of mineralization. I think that's a hell of a target in itself. And here you have a map that shows the historical drilling, and then over here you see some of these grades: 9 grams of gold, 12.2% zinc, 14.6 meters. 2 grams of gold, 7.5% zinc over 25 meters. Way over here, 8 grams of gold, 10% zinc over 27 meters. So the footprint is getting a lot bigger than the historical drilling suggested.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the resource comes out here. We're pretty excited about that. It's
Right.
even on a straight gold basis, how many 9 gram per ton gold mines are there in Nevada right now? Never mind the zinc and the lead. It's just quite remarkable.
Yeah, actually, you start doing some in situ rock values, and that's some of the best rock values being found anywhere for anything.
That's right.
And that's from two sides of the bookends. Here and here, you can make that same argument of the value. So just thinking about what's in here is exciting as well. So I understand your enthusiasm. I have the same enthusiasm, Matt. That's why you guys are so constantly on my show. You guys are a sponsor, but not all sponsors have that flow of news that you guys do. And like I said earlier, it's consistent from the time you started trading until today.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. Hopefully 2024 will be a year of putting out some resource updates and other various reports to show sort of clarity on the growth plan and what we have, and provide some more guidance on how we continue to build our business. That's sort of the goal for this year.
Now, to put that into context, the resources that you have already makes you one of the bigger players for resources in Nevada, and you've done a heck of a lot of drilling since then. So stands to reason that inventory is going to get bigger.
That's certainly the hope. Well, and even yeah, well, it should obviously, but the base metal part of it has not been included in our current resource, so that's all brand new. So Hilltop, Black and Fat, and FAD, Blackjack and FAD will all be included in its brand new resources. So I think investors should be pretty excited and impressed by what we're able to do here.
And Ruby Deeps is new as well, isn't it?
No, Ruby Deeps was part of the original resource, but we've grown it substantially on the property.
So what is the inventory of the known resources today, so we can get a base for when you guys upgrade them? What's the you got a huge 15 million ounces of gold in resources,
Yeah,
something like that.
14.6 in all categories. I'll just get it up here right now. It is M&I is 6.4 million ounces, and inferred is 8.148 million ounces of gold, with another 180 million ounces of silver on top of that.
Which makes you a pretty substantial silver company without even the gold.
That's right.
And then you got all these base metals and more gold and everything to come on board. Because when the resource was done on Granite Creek, you've done a lot of drilling outside that past resource, right?
Yeah, only a small little portion of South Pacific has been included in the current resource that's there. And we've expanded the South Pacific zone. I want to say it's like 400 meters beyond the OG zone. And it's still wide open to the north. So most of the drilling that's being done there this year is to bring the quality of the resource up from inferred to measured and indicated. And there'll be some drilling to expand it as well. But the focus is really to get a kind of a solid feasibility study out on the property with some good resources on it.
And as you've been stepping to the north, and it seems to be open at depth as well, and even getting juicier, higher grades as you go deeper, which is quite exciting as well at Granite Creek.
Yeah, it's quite exciting. So it's open to the north and it plunges at depth to the north, and it's open to the east as well as it gets deeper. And the ground quality gets better as we get deeper. And you, like you said, the grades, particularly in the South Pacific zone, really seem to be holding up and proving to be a quite an interesting zone.
That's a unpromotional way of saying what is world
This
class.
is the contrast between you and an I.
There you go. There you go. And also quite exciting is that as you go to the north, you stay in that same rock package and same structural corridor, that you follow it a little further and you run into a 25 million ounce gold deposit. So, lots of room to keep growing as you move to the north.
Absolutely. We recall we bought a piece of land just to the north of South Pacific, and the South Pacific zone has not even reached that property yet. So we've got a whole nother mile section north of that to continue drilling. So I think Granite Creek is going to prove to be a tidy little mine for us. I think it's going to be running for a few years more for sure.
Tidy little mine, yeah. Tidy company making mine for many companies, Matt.
Yeah.
So before we started talking, before I hit record, actually, we talked about how much the industry needs growth. And, what makes i-80 special is that growth profile. Yes, people can say right now, oh, well, they're building 3 mines at the same time. That's a hard thing to do, blah, blah, blah. But if you are successful in that, it will make you a peer leading growth company.
Yeah, what we sort of talk about publicly now is sort of our phase 1 growth program, and that is to develop the 3 high-grade underground mines, get the autoclave up, and get the base metals going underground. Beyond that, we have 2 other open pits that we can build, and they're the Granite Creek open pit. I think it was 1.29 gram per ton material. It's over like a 1.3 million ounces deposit of an open pit there. The Mineral Point deposit, I believe, is around 5 million ounces. That's the size of the deposit that we sold to Equinox. So on an organic basis, we have the ability to grow into a very large mid-tier company with our current portfolio. And for people investing in the state, having an autoclave or the ability to process refractory gold is a competitive advantage. Like to permit another roaster, I think, would be almost impossible. And to permit and build another autoclave would also be very difficult and very, very expensive. So I think anybody looking in the state, if you look at an i-80 Gold, we're certainly a one-stop shop to sort of enter Nevada, which is one of the world's premier gold districts in the world. It's quite a special place to be looking for mineralization.
just to put that into context a little bit more, you and I have talked in the past about, the last 40 or 50 years have really been about oxide gold deposits that come to surface. And, most of those have been found, some of them under a little cover, like what they're finding at Anglo's finding on the Walker Lane trend there at Merlin, or I can't remember the name of it, but
Silicon.
Silicon. Finding oxide deposits is getting harder and probably will continue to get harder. So there's a transition to going from oxides below that to the sulfide deposits. If you find a sulfide deposit, who can they work with that has the facility to process that material?
That's exactly right. And thinking back to the Premier days when we had the Cove deposit, we were wanting to go underground and do some bulk sampling and some test mining on that, and we were never able to convince our board to allow us to do that because we had no place to process the ore. The pushback was, well, what's the point? How do we process it? So now that we have the autoclave, we not only can build our projects, but we can actively be looking for other opportunities in Nevada and in the United States that are refractory.
Because there's only you guys and Newmont or Nevada Gold Mines, the joint venture between Barrick and Newmont.
First Majestic has a roaster as well.
Okay.
But between the three of us, there's only 5 processing facilities in all of the United States that can process refractory gold. So it really, opens up basically the entire United States for processing.
And those things are hungry. You need to keep them running because they're running at high temperature, and you don't want to turn them off and turn them back on.
That's correct.
So you want to be always getting maximum amount of material to run.
That's right. And even as we build our projects, we could likely run the autoclave with 2 of them. Maybe not quite, but having the third feed is it's insurance to make sure that it's always running. We're getting the maximum feed through it, the best costs, and so that's why we have the 3 projects that we're building at the one time.
So not only do you have your own series of assets that will make you a significant growth story, you have that processing capacity that could make you a partner of choice for others in Nevada that find sulfide deposits.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're building our projects, Nevada Gold Mine is our partner of choice by processing our ore to provide us cash flow to continue building our business. So they've been very, very good to us in terms of supporting our growth in the state.
And whether I look at the majors, I look at the smaller miners, the mid tiers. You look at the price of gold right now for a gold mining company. They're producing gold at, let's say, $1,400 an ounce. They're selling it for $2,000. That's a pretty good margin. They're creating a lot of free cash flow. They can buy back stock. They can pay dividends, but their stocks aren't moving. And I believe the reason that their stocks aren't moving is because those are not drivers of growth, spending money on dividends, spending money on share buybacks. It's finding new mines and building new mines that are the growth engine. And we need more growth at the major, mid-tier, and smaller miner. And even you can see the problem even extends into the developers and the explorers. But we need in this industry more growth. And so you guys kind of got the best of everything started coming together for you.
Yeah, thanks. I agree with you. It's a depleting industry, and I think we need to see a lot more investment into the space, particularly when you talk about the energy transition movement and the amount of metals and mining that will be required to execute on that plan. I would say probably the mines don't even exist yet that would need to support a full transition of energy to renewable. So I do think that we need to see more investment in the space, and that's sort of the stance we've taken is create a diverse portfolio of projects to be that sort of next leg of growth in the industry.
Well, you got those gray hairs for a reason, Matt. We've known each other for about 20 years or so. I used to have less gray hairs as well. You had none when we first met. And we've been through this before. And you guys have seen ups and downs and bull markets, bear markets, but those that keep on driving forward are or you've proved it a couple times now with Wolfton and Premier, and I think i-80 Gold is going to be your biggest success of the group.
I agree. We're quite excited.
Sounds great. Let me close it off, Matt. We can talk at the other end.
Okay.
Well, there you go. It was nice catching up with Matt again from i-80. Got the name right this time. Matt and I have earned our gray hairs. We've seen a lot in this business, and you know, the growth profile of i-80 Gold is very impressive. And I think as we get better prices for gold and an improving sentiment, that's what investors will be looking for in the ones especially that want less risk. They want exposure to gold or mining, but they want a little less risk. And that's what the majors and the mid-tiers and the small miners offer. But trying to find the best of the breed is, I think, what will make the best returns for investors. And as a growth story, i-80 Gold is building on a group of assets that puts them into a category that is quite exceptional. And if and I think they will reach those growth prospects, they're a company for on the menu that doesn't have a lot of plates on that menu these days, Matt. And so, as always, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors. Bear in mind that i-80 Gold is a sponsor, and so they pay me a fee to create some content, but I only make content based on news flow, and that's why I put out so much content about i-80, is because they're always putting out great news. So check out their website, check out their corporate presentations, go to my YouTube channel and listen to past interviews with Ewan and Matt. And I think you'll understand why everybody's enthusiastic about i-80's prospects for the future. On that note, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.